Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into one of the absolute biggest game changers in modern software development. We're going to completely demystify exactly how applications leap from a developer's laptop to a highly scalable, rock-solid production environment. Because honestly, whether you're building a simple web app or some incredibly complex microservice architecture, understanding this journey is absolutely foundational. Right, so let's talk about this notorious phrase, "it works on my machine." We've all heard it. It's basically the developer's version of "the dog ate my homework." And if you've been around software for more than a minute, you know this used to be the absolute biggest headache in the industry. Why? Well, because a developer's laptop might have one version of Python, but the test server had a totally different one. Or maybe production was running a completely different operating system, or was missing a crucial dependency. So suddenly, an application that ran flawlessly in development would just completely crash and burn in production. But then, containerization came along and completely flipped the script. It was a revolutionary approach that fundamentally changed how we package, distribute, and run modern software. Instead of handing the operations team this massive, convoluted checklist of dependencies to install and just kind of hoping for the best, developers could finally hand over a single, standardized package. So what does this actually look like in practice? Containerization essentially empowers developers to bundle up their application code, the runtime, the system libraries, and all the configurations into one highly portable, entirely predictable unit. You aren't just shipping your code anymore, right? You're shipping the exact environment your code needs to execute. And the beauty of that is it runs the exact same way on your local machine as it does on a testing server or up in the cloud. Here's how we're going to break this all down today. First, the container revolution. 2, anatomy of a container. 3, connectivity, state, and config. 4, security and production. 5, the CI/CD pipeline. And 6, scaling with Kubernetes. Let's get right to it. Part 1, the container revolution and how we are moving beyond virtual machines. To really get why containers are such a huge deal, we need to clear up a major misconception about how they actually work under the hood, especially compared to the old way of doing things. Think about a traditional virtual machine. A VM virtualizes the actual physical hardware. It needs a heavy hypervisor and an entire, bulky guest operating system for every single application you run. That takes minutes to boot up, and honestly, it wastes a massive amount of system resources. Containers are completely different. They simply virtualize the application runtime and share the host system's OS kernel. Because you cut out that heavy hypervisor and the redundant OS, containers are incredibly lightweight. We're talking about spinning them up in fractions of a second. It's a total game changer. Moving right along to part 2, anatomy of a container. Let's talk about images and Docker files. Now that we know why they're so insanely fast and efficient, let's explore how they're actually built from scratch. And the absolutely crucial point here is to never ever confuse these two terms, the image and the container. An image is your immutable package blueprint. It just sits there perfectly still in a registry. A container, on the other hand, is the live executing process that is actually spun up from that blueprint. Think of the image as the architectural blueprints for a house, and the container as the actual physical house that you can walk inside and live in. Okay, so how do we actually build that blueprint? Well, we use something called a Docker file. A Docker file is essentially just a script of sequential layers that systematically constructs your application environment. You start off by choosing a base image, maybe a nice, lightweight version of Node.js or Python. Then you tell it to install your specific package dependencies. Next, you copy your actual application source code directly into the image. And finally, you define the exact startup command. The really cool part? Each of these steps creates a cache layer, which makes future builds incredibly fast. All right, part 3, connectivity, state, and config. Basically, how to survive in the real world. So, we've successfully built our container. Awesome. But real-world applications don't exist in a vacuum, right? To actually be useful, they have to communicate across networks, they have to remember user data, and they need to adapt to completely different deployment environments. To pull that off, you have to embrace a pretty harsh reality. Containers are ephemeral, meaning they are meant to be stopped, destroyed, crashed, and replaced at literally any given second. If your container dies, any data stored purely inside its internal file system is instantly, permanently wiped out. You just cannot treat a container like a permanent server. Because they can vanish in an instant, you literally have to extract your application state and configuration. You store your persistent data safely outside the container using external volumes or managed cloud databases. For things like swapping a database URL or changing a log level between development and production, you use environment variables. And this is critical, you rely on secure secret managers to inject sensitive passwords at runtime. The container image itself stays exactly the same. It's only the injected environment that changes.
Which brings us to part 4, security and production readiness. Or, as I like to call it, the Docker equals magic myth.
Look, there's this weird myth out there that simply dropping your app into Docker magically makes it modern and safe. But just because your application is neatly packaged up, that doesn't mean it's inherently secure or ready to face the hostile public internet. To actually protect your systems out in the wild, you have to actively avoid some major pitfalls. First, using huge bloated base images completely expands your vulnerability attack surface. Running containers as the root user, incredibly dangerous. If an attacker breaches the app, they own the entire system. Storing secrets in your Docker file means those passwords are baked into the image history forever. Using the generic latest tag means you literally never know what version you're actually deploying. And ignoring CPU and memory limits, that is just a recipe for one single rogue container completely crashing your entire server. Part 5, the CI/CD pipeline. Let's talk about automating that code-to-cloud journey. So, all those best practices, the vulnerability scans, the security checks we just ran through, those need to be strictly enforced. We definitely can't rely on humans to just remember them every single time. And that is exactly where the continuous integration and delivery pipeline swoops in. The true magic of containerized CI/CD is that the image itself becomes your ultimate release artifact. You check in your code, the pipeline builds the image once, it runs automated vulnerability scans, and then pushes it to a secure registry. From there, you can confidently promote that exact same thoroughly tested image from staging directly into production. There's no rebuilding. You know with 100% certainty that the code that passed your tests is the exact code going live. Finally, part 6, scaling with Kubernetes. Time to orchestrate the chaos. Running a couple of containers on a single server is honestly pretty easy. But how do you manage, network, update, and scale dozens or even thousands of these ephemeral containers across a massive enterprise architecture? Enter Kubernetes. While Docker is fantastic for building images and running things during local development, Kubernetes is the heavy-duty production orchestrator that actually handles the chaos at scale. It takes your containers and organizes them into scalable, manageable, and monitored units called pods. If a pod crashes, Kubernetes instantly spins up a new one. If traffic suddenly spikes, it automatically creates more pods to handle the load. It's brilliant. To put this all into perspective, consider the real-world architecture evolution of something like the Uplatz learning platform. Notice how the whole setup completely transforms from a developer's laptop to an actual production environment. While a dev is going to run the front end, the back end, and the database all locally as simple Docker containers using Docker Compose, the production reality is vastly different. Up in production, the front end moves over to a lightning-fast static CDN. That Postgres database, it shifts to a highly durable managed cloud database. And those backend APIs are deployed as dynamic, auto-scaled Kubernetes pods. Containers make that transition seamless, sure, but the architecture still requires incredibly deliberate professional design. As we wrap up this explainer, I really want you to remember that packaging your code into an image is literally just step 1 on the journey to true operational resilience, security, and scale. Keep exploring all of this and keep refining your architectures, because I want to leave you with one absolutely critical question to ask of your own projects. Your application might be containerized right now, but is it truly production ready?